Do speed paints reactivate? Let's find out by painting the Orc Enforcers. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good day. We're back with another battle of speed paints versus contrast paints, and this time it's going to be over Gray Seer primer from Citadel Color. We're going to be starting off with the army painter side of things, Malignant Green. So I tried to find the same colors that Contrast had, as well as the new army painter speed paints. So the Malignant Green, as I said on the unboxing video, I like my orcs to be green, not necessarily gray or whatever, but this one is also comparable to the Plaguebearer flesh from the contrast paint range, which is going to be painted up next on another one of these Orc Enforcers. You may also notice that these are not from Massive Darkness 2 originally. These are from Massive Darkness 1, but they came with the upgrade pack, so you can use those in Massive Darkness 2, so they're going to be part of my painting series in Massive Darkness 2 now. So now we're using the Plaguebearer flesh. I don't know if you noticed with the Malignant one, but it was much paler, like almost like a bright green, like fluorescent almost even. This plague flesh, and you can also see this one seems to go more into the recesses. Now, is it the miniature that's a bit different? I don't think so. The way I primed it, nope, they were all primed on the same stick, the same way. So some of the details should not have been corrupted, I guess, by the primer and by the miniature itself. In my opinion, this one, the contrast paint kind of wins, and you're going to see that coming up here. We're going to compare the two. So here's the Malignant Green. See, very fluorescent, I find, and it doesn't get into the recesses as well. Plaguebearer flesh really shows those muscles on the stomach and all that, and just so different. Like, look how bright the left one is, the speed paint, compared to the contrast paint. So in my preference there, the Plaguebearer would work. Next, we're moving on to some hardened leather. Now, this is one of two browns, I believe, that they have in a speed paint compared to a few browns in contrast. So there are a lot more paint choices in the contrast range. Now, again, the speed paint on this one, I like the color, a little lighter than I thought it would be, but also, again, doesn't get into those nooks and crannies as well. I don't know why. I don't understand how come the speed paint doesn't seem to be bringing out as many details for this miniature anyways. Now it does on the socks here, or the whatever I'm calling them, socks. It shows a bit more, but on the pouches I find it could have had a little bit more oomph to it. So we're going to be comparing that to Snakebite leather, which is a contrast paint now. And this one's got a touch more of light and dark effect, I find, to it on the Gray Seer. Now, is it the Gray Seer primer that the speed paint doesn't like? That could be. Anyways, so now as you can see the pouches, you'll see them a little bit closer after, but it seems like there's more details popping. That Gray Seer is coming through more. Maybe I could have put the what's it called, the speed paint medium with it to maybe lighten it one touch, just a little bit, not too much, because you wouldn't want to lighten that out too much, because then after that it'll just be like water. Alright, so let's take a look at both of them next to each other here. So here's the hardened leather. You can see it's a little very light brown. Once it dries, it's not bad, but it looks flat. Looks like it could use some more details. The Snakebite leather, on the other hand, again, look at all the pouch details. You can actually see each individual pouch. I find it's so much more different. It's darker as well. The other one has more of a light brown. We'll take a look at the back now, so you can see the pouches. Look at the way it I don't know. What do you guys think? It's more orangey, the hardened leather. We're getting some dark wood now. This is going to be on the hilt of the staff. This is from the speed paint range, so it's called dark wood. And we're going to be comparing that to Wyldwood. So we're using that on the staff of his axe, as well as the handle of his sword, and as well as the shield, because the shield has some flat surface, as well as some details on the front as well. And we're going to get even those like stone-like things, or whatever they are, protruding out of the shield. Just later on we'll come and touch those up. Now we're going to use the Wyldwood and do the same thing. The hilt of the sword, or the dagger, the handle of the axe, and the shield as well. Again, Wyldwood is a bit darker, but not too much. I find they both gone the same way. They both have the same final look that's very comparable to each other. I like how both of them go on. I actually like the speed paint more for the way it applied itself onto the miniature. The Wyldwood was okay, but it was like a little thick, Anyway, so here's the Darkwood. You can see the shield there. It does have like a bit of a shininess to it, so the speed paints are a little bit more shiny than the Wyldwood. You can see the Wyldwood has a little less shine to it, but both do an amazing job and pretty much look identical almost. It might be a touch darker, actually, the Hardwood. Darkwood. Blood Red is next Army Painter speed paint now. We're going to be using this on his cape. Now the other one we're going to compare to is another red color, but the other orcs, I tested different speed paints. I didn't record them on here, but you'll see them in some of the pictures later on. So I used like a skin color actually to do one. I think it was Pallid Bone? No, Desert Golem? Sand Golem? Something like that. And then I used a blue on both sides, and I used a purple on the contrast paint. But I just wanted to be a little different on the table, not all the same color. I mean, it's always fun to have a little variety to your orcs, right? I mean, these two are going to be the same exactly because I wanted the contrast versus the speed paint checking out thing. So Blood Angel's red. So we're going in the blood department today with the reds. Again, speed paint went on really well. Contrast paint, of course, it went on really well. We've all used these many times. It almost had an identical look to them. I don't have a side-by-side comparison, so I forgot to shoot that part. But both of them, the red just comes out really nice. They both get into the nooks and crannies. I find they both highlight a good deal. You could take a dry brush after, maybe if you wanted to, and re-highlight some of the areas, or just take a highlighting brush and highlight some of the reds if you want to make them really pop. Alright, now we're moving on to some Grim Black. This is going to be for the hair. So this is the speed paint version, and it was a little light for my liking. I was hoping for it to be more darker than this. I had to go, if I wanted to, I could have went over a second time. I didn't. I really wanted to see what one coat did with this, because they say one coat, you're done. Black Templar is what we're comparing it to, and you can see this one is much darker right off the bat. The highlights come out a little bit more than the other one. The other one turns more gray on this gray sear. So here the Black Templar, in my opinion, wins a little bit. Maybe if it was on a bigger area. Anyways, Zealot yellow for the on top of the silver. We want to make sure we see what it does over silver, so we're using it Iyanden yellow on top of the silver. They both have the same effect. I find the shine still comes really through. It looks like a golden axe almost, more than just a silver axe. Oh, we do a comparison, but I forgot to... Oh, no, we do a freeze paint. Look at that. So there you go. You have the Army Painter versus the color. So now we're going to test and see if these paints react. We're using the dark tone wash from the Army Painter on top of the one we use the speed paints. And I don't know if you can see it in this fast motion, but it actually is reactivating the green. Not the red, but that Malignant green. Now we're using Nuln oil on top of the contrast. And you know what? I'm actually impressed with doing this. We're doing a flesh wash now, and I'll say what I'm impressed with. This one really takes off that Malignant green. It almost like... Yeah, it dissolves it so much. Anyways, it's, yeah. Alright, Reiklin Flesh Shade for the Citadel side. Yeah, so I never thought about using shades and washes after doing contrast paint. Man, it makes a difference. Seriously, you gotta try it. Alright, so here we go. Let's take a look at that. You can see a bit of the Malignant green did come off a little bit, rubbed off a little bit. Which one you like, left or right? I'm leaning towards the right side, so the Citadel side, the contrast paint. Here's one that I actually used with the anti-shine matte varnish, and the speed paints didn't reactivate. So on both sides is the Army Painter one, painted with speed paints and the anti-shine matte varnish, and then I put a wash on it. There you go, folks. Those Orc Enforcers are all painted, ready to go. The boss is in front. You saw him being painted in the unboxing video. I want to thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you all in the next one.